was on one of those magic nights sitting around a campfire that my older brother Jay came to sit with us. Bad news. He did not come out of a gesture of friendship. He did not come out of goodwill. No, he came to scare us to death. He told us ghost stories. Quote unquote real ghost stories. And he knew that they were real because he even knew the people they happened to. No, that isn't quite right. Did you ever notice this? When anybody got a really great story, they always know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that it happened to. Can I tell you one of those stories? Would that be all right? This is a very, very old story, and it's one you probably already know, but it's always one that I tell because it was really the first ghost story I ever remember, and it's kind of a classic. My brother Jay told me that he had a friend in high school whose older brother knew a guy named Randy who once picked up a girl hitchhiking on Reeder Road. Anybody know Reeder Road? Yeah. I love talking in the region. Today it's blocked off by kind of a county park in the middle, but when I was growing up, it was the undisputed weirdest piece of roadway that you could ever imagine. If you've never seen it, it's that roadway, there's one in every community where the trees grew almost together overhead, so it was dark even in the middle of the day. And beyond the roadway there was a thick underbrush, and beyond that there was a swamp. So in the spring or in the fall, when it got cool in a hurry, there'd be a mist, a fog, that rolled out of that swamp and clung to the road like a cloak. Well, from what Jay told me, it was in October of about 1968 or so, a very long time ago. And Randy was driving back home to Griffith down Reeder Road from Merrillville. He was probably driving a little bit faster than he should have because the clock on the dash said 11:15. That meant he had exactly 15 minutes to get home or his parents were going to be hacked. Randy was a senior at Griffith High School, a letterman in basketball as a matter of fact. And he had a girlfriend in Merrillville. He'd gone to take her to a dinner and then, well, maybe spent a little bit too much time saying goodnight. Now he had 15 minutes to get home or his parents are going to be mad. And it just started to drizzle a little bit, the windshield wipers slapping back and forth. And the fog had come off of that swamp and was clinging to the road in front of him. He was so concentrating on getting home safely and on time that he didn't even see the girl before he passed her. He caught just a glimpse in his headlights. There she stood by the side of the road with the fog swirling around her, and as he passed, she reached out from that fog like she was appealing for help. Well, Randy knew that he had to get home, but he also knew you can't leave a girl stranded by the side of the road, particularly a weird piece of road like Reeder Road. So against his better judgment, he hit the brakes and stopped the car, and before he could even get out, she was already opening the back door and sliding into the back seat. You know, in a kind of a hollow whisper, she said, "Thanks for stopping. My car went off the road and I've been standing here forever waiting for a ride home. Can you just take me home?" There was something sad and pleading in her tone. Randy looked at the clock and said, "Well, it might be faster if we just pushed your car out. Could we do it that way?" And she said, "No. It's in too far. Besides, I've been waiting here for a long time and I'm wet. Just take me home." So reluctantly, Randy agreed. She told him to turn around and go the opposite direction he'd been going, back down to Nicholson Road and hang a left, and then after a couple turns, she said, "You're going to see Ross Cemetery on the right. Little ways past there's the road, and you go up the road about half a mile and you'll see the house. You can't miss it, because there's a white picket fence out front, and I know the light will be on because my parents must be worried sick." After that, she didn't say too much at all. And they drove through the night in the rain and the fog. Randy tried to start a conversation, but she just nod or grunt and stare out the window. One time he did catch a glimpse of her, though, in his rearview mirror, and what he saw almost stopped his breath in his throat because, well, maybe it was a reflection from the lights in the lights on the dash, but she seemed to sit there in kind of an even glow. She shivered, and Randy said, "Are you cold?" She said, "Yeah, I'm wet to the skin." So he handed back his letterman's jacket, and he said, "You can wear this till we get you home." After that, neither one said anything at all. They drove through the night and the rain, and it was through that rain and that fog, after about 20 minutes, they saw the tall iron gates of Ross Cemetery coming up on the right. As they started to pass the cemetery, he turned back and said, "From what you say, the road's up here to that," and with that he hit the brake as hard as he could. His car fishtailed for just a second on the wet pavement, then he went off on the gravel. He jammed that car into park, jumped out, leaving the driver's door open, tore around to the back, opened the door. And you know, don't you? She was gone. Solid gone. Well, now wait a minute. That didn't make much sense. I mean, the window was up, so she couldn't have jumped through the window. If she'd opened the door to jump out, the light would have gone, and the light didn't go on. It didn't make any sense. It was like it didn't happen. Except that when he reached out and touched the seat where she'd been sitting, it was cold and damp, like something dead. My brother Jay told me that Randy stood in that October rain for a good 15, 20 minutes trying to figure out what happened. Couldn't do it. So in the end, he did the only thing he could do. Turned around and went home. Got home about 40 minutes late, and sure enough, his parents were ticked. He told them he'd stopped to help a girl whose car had gone off the road, but he wouldn't say anything beyond that. And I don't think they believed him, because they told him they'd talk about his punishment the next morning. It was probably to avoid exactly that conversation that Randy got up early, decided to go downtown and have breakfast with a couple of his buddies at a diner. That Saturday morning it dawned bright and clear, and it made the world look sane again. As he got dressed, he thought about what happened and realized it couldn't have happened. Must have been some sort of a dream or hallucination. Better to forget about the whole thing and pretend it never happened. Except for one thing. Letterman's jacket was gone. It wasn't in the coat tree, it wasn't in the closet, it wasn't in all those piles of dirty laundry around his bedroom. It was gone just like she was, and when he realized that something had happened the night before. So he decided to do the only thing he could think of. He would redrive his route from the night before. Maybe if he could see it in the morning air, he could make sense of it all. Drove down Rita Road, saw about where he picked the girl up. Then he turned on Nicholson. After about 20 minutes, he passed Ross Cemetery. He could see the marks in the gravel where his car had gone off, but that's all. A little ways up, there was the road. About half a mile up the road, there was the house, but it didn't look exactly like what she had described. Most of the pickets were gone from the fence. There were weeds in the yard, and one of the windows was busted out. Looked like nobody lived there. Still, Randy pulled into the driveway, got out, and then he thought, what in the world am I doing? I mean, it looks like nobody lives here, but if I do knock at the door and somebody answers, what am I supposed to say? Hi, I'm looking for a girl who disappeared from the back of my car last night. They're going to think I'm nuts. And he was so lost in thought, he didn't even hear the sound of the car pulling up on the road behind him and stopping. The first thing he heard was an old man's voice saying, "Son, what you doing here?" He turned around and there was a battered red pickup truck with an old man peering at him out the driver's window. Randy said, "I'm sorry, sir. I'm looking for someone who lives here." "Lives here," said the old man. "Ain't nobody lives here." No, you don't understand, sir. I met a girl last night. She told me she lives here, and for the first time